Have you ever had the feeling that no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you save, no matter how many sacrifices you make, you never seem to get ahead? Almost like someone keeps moving the finish line every time you get closer. At first, you think the problem is you. Maybe you're not working hard enough. Maybe you're not smart enough. Maybe everyone else simply knows something you don't. But what if that's not the real problem? What if millions of people are asking themselves the exact same question? Because they're all living inside the same system? A system that quietly rewards spending more than saving, debt more than ownership, consumption more than creation, and dependence more than freedom. The strange part is, most people don't even realize they're participating in it. Because nobody wakes up one morning and decides to become financially trapped. It happens slowly. One payment, one subscription, one loan, one credit card. One financial decision after another. Until one day, you realize you've spent years working incredibly hard without actually moving much closer to financial freedom. Hello, I'm Adrienne Vale, and welcome to Nexoryth. If you're interested in understanding money, business, psychology, economics, and the hidden systems shaping modern life, make sure to subscribe now, because every week we explore ideas that challenge conventional thinking and help you understand how the modern world really works. And I want you to stay with me until the very end of this video, because the final idea I'm going to share isn't just about money. It may completely change the way you look at your career, your spending habits, your financial future, and even the decisions you make every single day. Today, we're going to explore something most people feel, but very few people can explain. The system that quietly keeps millions of people broke. And once you see how it works, you'll start noticing it everywhere. The trap you never realize you're entering. Let me ask you another question. When do you think people become financially trapped? Most people imagine it's after making one terrible decision. A huge investment that failed. A business that went bankrupt. A mountain of debt. But that's almost never how it happens. Financial traps are rarely dramatic. They're quiet. Almost invisible. That's what makes them so dangerous. Nobody wakes up one morning completely broke. People usually arrive there one small decision at a time. Think about your average day. You wake up, you check your phone, you see advertisements. You open social media. Someone is driving a nicer car. Someone just bought a bigger house. Someone is on vacation. Someone is wearing a luxury watch. Without realizing it, your brain starts comparing. And comparison is where the system begins to work. Because once you feel like you're behind, you're much easier to sell to. Modern businesses don't simply compete for your money. They compete for your attention, your emotions, your insecurities, your desire to feel successful. That's why advertisements rarely tell you what a product does. They tell you how it will make you feel. More confident, more attractive, more respected, more successful. They're not selling products, they're selling identities. And once people begin buying identities instead of value, their financial decisions become emotional instead of logical. Now imagine this happening every single day. Hundreds of advertisements, thousands of images, millions of people showing carefully edited versions of their lives. Eventually, you stop asking, "Do I actually need this?" and start asking, "What will people think if I don't have it?" That's an incredibly expensive question, because it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with psychology. And psychology is where the system quietly wins. Now let's add another layer. Easy credit. Imagine you see something expensive. Years ago, if you couldn't afford it, that was the end of the conversation. Today, the system says, "No problem, pay monthly, 0 down, buy now, only a few dollars a day." Notice something? The conversation is no longer about price. It's about payments. And that's one of the smartest changes modern finance ever made. Because people don't naturally think in totals anymore. They think in monthly costs. A streaming subscription, a car payment, a phone payment, a furniture payment, a gym membership, another subscription, another payment. Individually, none of them seem dangerous. Together, they quietly consume your financial future. And here's the scary part. After a while, those payments start feeling normal. You stop questioning them. You simply build your life around them. Instead of asking, how can I become financially free? You begin asking, how can I afford all my monthly payments? Those are completely different lives. One is moving toward freedom. The other is moving toward dependence. And that's exactly why this trap is so difficult to notice. Because it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels normal. Everyone around you is doing the same thing. Everyone has loans. Everyone has subscriptions. Everyone is financing something. Everyone seems busy earning money, only to send most of it somewhere else at the end of every month. And eventually, people begin believing this is simply what adulthood looks like. But maybe it isn't. Maybe we've confused normal with healthy. Maybe we've accepted financial pressure as something inevitable, when in reality, much of it is created by a system that constantly encourages consumption. Because here's something worth thinking about. If people suddenly became satisfied with what they already owned, entire industries would slow down overnight. Companies need people to keep buying. Banks need people to keep borrowing. Advertisers need people to keep wanting more. That's how the system grows. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's simply how modern economies operate. The problem begins when people participate without understanding the rules. Because once you understand the game, you stop reacting automatically. You pause before buying. You question your decisions. You begin separating genuine needs from emotional impulses. And that single habit can change your financial future more than most people realize. Because the system isn't strongest when people have less money. The system is strongest when people stop asking why they're spending it in the first place. Why the game is designed to keep you running. There's something else that almost nobody talks about. And once you notice it, it's impossible to ignore. Think back to when you got your very first paycheck. Do you remember how exciting it felt? It wasn't just about the money. It was about possibility. You imagined all the things you could finally afford. You felt like life was beginning. But then something happened. Your income increased, and so did your lifestyle. You moved into a nicer apartment, bought a better car, started eating at more expensive restaurants, subscribed to more services, took more vacations. None of those things are bad on their own. In fact, enjoying the results of your hard work is important. The problem begins when every increase in income is immediately matched by an increase in spending. Because if your expenses always grow as fast as your income, you never actually become wealthier. You simply become more expensive to maintain. That's one of the biggest financial illusions of modern life. People think they're moving forward because they're earning more. But in reality, they're often just running faster on the same treadmill. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. I call it one of the quietest financial traps ever created. Because it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like progress. You tell yourself, I deserve this. I've worked hard. I've earned it. And sometimes that's true. But here's the question very few people ask. Will this purchase make my life better? Or will it simply make my monthly obligations bigger? There's a huge difference. Freedom isn't measured by what you own. It's measured by how much of your life you actually control. Imagine two people earning exactly the same salary. The first person owns an expensive car, lives in a luxury apartment, has several loans, multiple subscriptions, and a lifestyle that requires a high income every single month just to survive. The second person lives a little below their means. They invest consistently. They avoid unnecessary debt. They build savings. From the outside, The first person often looks more successful. But if both people lose their jobs tomorrow, who has more freedom? That's the question appearances can never answer, because wealth and lifestyle are not the same thing. One is visible, the other is invisible, and the invisible one is usually the one that matters most. Here's another interesting observation. Modern society constantly encourages you to celebrate spending. Nobody congratulates you for increasing your emergency fund. Nobody applauds you for paying off debt. Nobody posts glamorous pictures of saying no to unnecessary purchases. But buy a luxury car, and suddenly everyone notices. That's because attention is often attached to consumption, not discipline. And yet, discipline is what quietly builds financial freedom. The irony is almost unbelievable. The habits that make you look wealthy today are often different from the habits that actually make you wealthy tomorrow. That's why so many people spend years chasing an image instead of building a foundation. They upgrade everything except their financial security. And here's the truth. The system doesn't need everyone to become poor. It simply needs people to remain dependent. Dependent on the next paycheck. Dependent on monthly payments. Dependent on borrowed money. Dependent on working without interruption. Because dependence creates predictability, and predictability keeps the entire machine running. Now, does that mean the system is some giant conspiracy? No, not at all. It's simply how incentives work. Businesses are designed to sell. Banks are designed to lend. Advertising is designed to persuade. None of that is surprising. The real question is whether you understand those incentives. Because once you do, you stop making decisions automatically. You become intentional. You begin asking questions most people never ask. Is this improving my future or only improving my image? Am I buying something or am I buying a feeling? Is this decision giving me more freedom or less? Those questions may seem simple, but over 10 or 20 years, they can completely change the direction of a person's financial life. Maybe that's the real difference between people who stay trapped and people who eventually become financially free. It's not that one group works harder, it's that one group learns to recognize the game they're playing. And once you understand the rules, you stop running just because everyone else is running. You start choosing your own direction. And that's where real freedom begins. The only way out of the system. So after everything we've talked about, there's one final question. If the system encourages people to spend, to borrow, to compare, and to stay dependent, is there actually a way out? I believe there is, but it's probably not the answer most people are expecting. Because escaping the system doesn't start with making $1 million. It starts with changing the way you think. Every financial transformation begins with a psychological transformation. Before someone changes their bank account, they usually change their habits. Before they change their habits, they change the questions they ask themselves. Instead of asking, how can I buy this? They begin asking, is this worth trading part of my life for? Because that's what money really represents, time. Every dollar you spend was earned by giving away part of your life. Hours you'll never get back. Energy you'll never recover. That's why every purchase is much bigger than it looks. You're not only spending money, you're spending a piece of your life. And once you truly understand that, your relationship with money begins to change. You become less impulsive, less emotional, less interested in impressing people who were never thinking about you in the first place. Instead, you begin investing in things that actually create freedom, skills, knowledge, health, relationships, assets, experiences that genuinely improve your life. Because real wealth isn't measured by how much you can spend. It's measured by how much pressure you can remove from your future. Think about the people who seem financially calm. They don't necessarily have the biggest salaries, but they usually have something much more valuable: options. They can leave a toxic job. They can survive unexpected problems. They can make decisions without constant financial panic. That's what money is supposed to do. Create options, not create stress. And maybe that's where so many people lose their way. They spend years trying to look successful, instead of trying to become secure. They chase expensive symbols, while ignoring the invisible foundations that actually create lasting wealth. But the good news is this: you don't have to change your entire life overnight. In fact, you probably shouldn't. Real financial freedom isn't built through one dramatic decision. It's built through hundreds of small decisions, repeated consistently. One unnecessary purchase you don't make. One skill you decide to learn. One investment you finally start. One debt you decide to eliminate. One book you choose to read instead of another hour of mindless scrolling. None of those decisions will change your life tomorrow, but together, they can completely change where you are 5 or 10 years from now. And that's something the system rarely encourages, because patience doesn't generate headlines. Discipline doesn't go viral. Consistency isn't exciting. But those are often the qualities that quietly build extraordinary lives. So before we finish, I want to leave you with one final thought. The system isn't your biggest enemy. Your lack of awareness is. Because the moment you become aware, the system begins to lose its influence over you. Advertisements still exist. Debt still exists. Consumer culture still exists. But now you see them differently. You stop reacting automatically. You start making intentional decisions. And intentional decisions create intentional lives. So maybe the goal isn't to fight the system. Maybe the goal is to understand it so well that it no longer controls your choices. Because that's what financial freedom really is. Not having unlimited money, but having enough awareness to make money serve your life instead of letting your life serve money. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more conversations about money, psychology, business, and the hidden systems shaping modern life, make sure to subscribe to Nexoryth. And before you go, I'd love to hear your perspective. What do you think is the biggest system keeping people broke today? Is it debt, consumerism, the education system, social media, or something else entirely? Leave your answer in the comments. I read every one of them. Until next time, keep questioning what everyone else accepts, because sometimes the biggest financial advantage isn't having more money, it's seeing the world differently.